you have known for a long time. I need to be honest about something that I have been avoiding for longer than I want to admit. Settling has a cost, and I have been paying it every single day without realizing. It costs you in the mornings when you wake up and something feels off. Not wrong enough to name, just not right enough to ignore. It costs you in the moments when you laugh less than you used to, when your eyes stop lighting up about things that used to light them up. It costs you in the way you stop talking about your dreams, first to others, then eventually to yourself. It costs you in a slow erosion of what you believed you deserved, each compromise so reasonable that the accumulation sneaks up on you. And one day you look around at the life you have carefully constructed and realize you built it to someone else's specifications. Nobody tells you about this cost. They just tell you to be grateful, to be realistic, to be patient, as if patience and settling are the same thing. I know the cost of settling now. I paid it for years without knowing. I know the cost of settling now. It's everything you stop believing about yourself. I know the cost of settling now. Every dream you quietly let go of. I know the cost of settling now. And I am done writing checks my soul can't cash. The cost of settling. It cost me the version of myself who believed anything was possible, who hadn't yet learned to pre-edit her own desires for palatability. It cost me relationships where I showed up as a smaller version, where I kept the most interesting parts carefully out of sight. It cost me time, the currency I can never get back. Years spent making something work that was fundamentally not for me. It cost me the quiet confidence of a woman who knows her worth and acts accordingly without apology or negotiation. But here's what settling could not take, what it tried to take but couldn't. The part of me that kept the record of everything I knew I deserved. That part kept score, quietly and patiently. And eventually she showed me the bill, and I decided to stop paying. Nobody tells you about this cost. They just tell you to be grateful, to be realistic, to be patient, as if patience and settling are the same thing. I know the cost of settling now. I paid it for years without knowing. I know the cost of settling now. It's everything you stop believing about yourself. I know the cost of settling now. Every dream you quietly let go of. I know the cost of settling now. And I am done writing checks my soul can't cash. The cost of settling. I wanna name what I lost, not to dwell in it, but because naming it makes choosing differently real. I lost years of living at full capacity because I was managing something that should have been effortless. I lost the ease of being completely myself. I lost the particular joy of being with someone or something that brings out more of you, not less. I lost time I could have spent building something that actually fit, looking for ways to make something ill fit and work. I don't say this with bitterness, I say it with the clarity of someone who has done the accounting and decided the investment isn't worth it. Not worth one more year, not worth one more morning of waking up and feeling that something is off. I know the cost of settling now. I know the cost of settling now. It's everything you stop believing about yourself. relax my soul. Can't cash no more the cost of settling. Paid in full, never again. Paid in full, never again. I know the cost now, never again. Some decisions don't need an announcement. They don't need an explanation. They don't need a conversation. They just need to be made, and then they need to be kept. I closed the door recently without making a production of it. Without a speech, without a scene, without waiting for understanding. I closed it because it needed closing. Cause every time I opened it, I left less of myself inside and more of myself on the floor. I closed it because I finally understood that keeping it open was a choice, not a circumstance, not an obligation. A choice I had been making daily, and I chose differently, that's all. No drama, no ceremony, just a door quietly closed. Not every ending needs an audience, not every boundary needs a defense. Some things just need to be done, and then left done. Closed door. I don't need you to understand my reasons. Closed door. I don't need permission to protect my peace. Closed door. Some things just needed to be over. Closed door. And I closed it myself without looking back, without explaining. Closed door. Behind that door was a version of me who kept trying to fix what was broken, who kept showing up with solutions to problems she didn't create. Behind that door was a woman who had confused loyalty with suffering, who thought staying meant strength when leaving required more of it. Behind that door was a situation that asked me to be less every single time I engaged with it, and rewarded me with just enough to keep coming back, to keep the door open, to keep believing that things would change. They didn't change, so I did. Not every ending needs an audience, not every boundary needs a defense. Some things just need to be done, and then left done. Closed door. I don't need you to understand my reasons. Closed door. I don't need permission to protect my peace. Closed door. Some things just needed to be over. Closed door. And I closed it myself without looking back, without explaining. Closed door. People will ask why. You don't owe them an answer. People will say you overreacted, they weren't in the room. People will tell you to reconsider, they aren't paying the price of staying. People will miss the version of you they kept the door open. That's their loss to manage, not yours. A closed door is not a failure, it is not cruelty, it is not giving up. It is a woman who finally decided that her peace was worth more than anyone's comfort with her choices. And that decision belongs entirely to her, to no one else, to no one else at all. Closed door. I don't need you to understand my reasons. Closed door. I don't need permission to protect my peace. Closed door. Some things just needed to be over. Closed door. And I closed it myself without looking back. apologizing without returning. Closed door, permanently. Closed door, closed door, and staying closed. Closed door, my peace, my choice. Closed, closed door. What if your worth was not something you earned, not something you built, not something you proved? What if it was simply what you arrived with before you knew enough to question it? We spend lifetimes building cases for our unworthiness, accumulating evidence that we deserve to take up space. Degrees and achievements, and relationships and accomplishments. A portfolio of reasons to justify our own existence. But what if the premise is wrong? What if worth doesn't work that way? What if it was never something you had to earn in the first place? What if you were worthy before the first achievement, before the first relationship, before you knew what worthy meant? Not worthy because of what you did, not worthy because of who chose you. Worthy because you exist, and existence itself is enough. Worthy by design, before you did a single thing to earn it. Worthy by design, before the world told you otherwise. Worthy by design, not because of what you've built or proved. Worthy by design, it was written into you at the beginning, before the beginning. Worthy by design. If this is true, and I believe it is, then everything changes. It means you cannot lose your worth by making mistakes. It means failure doesn't touch it. It means rejection doesn't diminish it. It means the love that left did not take your worthiness with it. It means the job you didn't get does not reflect your fundamental value. It means you haven't enough every single day of your life, including the days that felt like evidence of the opposite. It means the work isn't to build your worth. The work is to remember it, to return to it, to stop accepting less than it demands. Not worthy because of what you did, not worthy because of who chose you. Worthy because you exist, and existence itself is enough. Worthy by design, before you did a single thing to earn it. Worthy by design, before the world told you otherwise. Worthy by design, not because of what you've built or proved. Worthy by design, it was written into you at the beginning, before the beginning. Worthy by design. I want you to sit with this. You were worthy the day you were born, before you were useful, before you were successful, before you were anything to anyone. A baby does not earn its worth, it simply has it, completely and absolutely by virtue of existing. You were that baby, and nothing that has happened since has changed what was true then. Nothing can change what is inherent. The world will try to convince you otherwise. It has financial interest in your insecurity. But the truth beneath all of it, the truth that was true before the world got to you, is that you are worthy, not conditionally, not provisionally, not pending further evidence, completely irrevocable. There is a clarity that only comes at this specific hour, when the performance of the day has finally ended, and what's left is just the truth. At 2 a.m. I stop performing that I am fine with fine, that almost is close enough, that potential is the same as presence. At 2 a.m. I stop performing the contentment I wear in daylight, the gracious acceptance of things that don't actually fit. At 2 a.m. the voice gets quiet, the one that talks me out of knowing, and what's left underneath it is always the same clear thing. I deserve more than this, not more in a greedy sense, more in the sense of this was never built for me. The night is not cruel, the night just removes everything that isn't true and leaves you with what is. 2 a.m. clarity cuts through everything I tell myself in daylight. 2 a.m. clarity says the quiet parts out loud. 2 a.m. clarity shows me exactly what I've been accepting. 2 a.m. clarity, and I am finally listening, completely listening. 2 a.m. clarity. At 2 a.m. I see the pattern clearly, the way I've made myself convenient, the way I've adjusted my needs to fit around someone else's limitations. I see the conversations I've avoided because I was afraid of what the truth would cost. I see the version of myself I've been keeping on the shelf, the one who asks for what she wants without performing smallness first, who occupies her full amount of space without checking if it's welcome. At 2 a.m. I made myself a promise that I try to keep in daylight, that I am getting better at keeping with every 2 a.m. that passes. I am worth the full thing, not the half thing, not the almost thing, the full actual thing. A night is not cruel, the night just removes everything that isn't true and leaves you with what is. 2 a.m. clarity cuts through everything I tell myself in daylight. 2 a.m. clarity says the quiet parts out loud. 2 a.m. clarity shows me exactly what I've been accepting. 2 a.m. clarity, and I am finally listening, completely listening. 2 a.m. clarity. Let me tell you what 2 a.m. clarity sounds like. It sounds like you have been rationalizing this for months, and you know it. It sounds like the thing you almost said 3 weeks ago was the thing you should have said. It sounds like you keep choosing familiar discomfort over unfamiliar possibility. It sounds like you know exactly what you deserve, and you have been accepting significantly less. And it sounds like you are done, not tomorrow, not when things improve, not when you have more clarity. Right now, at 2 a.m. in the dark, with no audience, you are done. That clarity, that specific 2 a.m. clarity is the most important voice in your life. Listen to it. 2 a.m. clarity cuts through everything I tell myself in daylight. 2 a.m. clarity says the quiet parts out loud. 2 a.m. clarity shows me exactly what I've been accepting. 2 a.m. clarity, and I am finally listening, completely listening. Done rationalizing, done waiting. 2 a.m. clarity. It's time. It's time. is a price for access to me that I did not always know I was charging. I was giving it away like it cost nothing. It cost everything, and I know that now. I used to make myself accessible to anyone who showed up, regardless of what they brought, regardless of what they cost. I mistook availability for generosity, mistook being easy to reach for being easy to appreciate. They are not the same thing. A queen does not grant audience to anyone who arrives at the gate. She is discerning about who enters and what they are required to bring. I spent years with the gates wide open, wondering why I felt depleted, wondering why my inner court was full of people who diminished me. The gates are not closed from fear, they are selective from wisdom. Not everyone deserves access to what I carry. This is a queen's ransom, and you will pay it or you will leave. This is a queen's ransom. My time, my energy, my trust, my peace. This is a queen's ransom, not negotiable, not discounted. This is a queen's ransom, and I have finally learned to collect what I am owed. Queen's ransom. The ransom is consistency, not occasional when convenient. The ransom is honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. The ransom is effort, real visible, sustained effort. The ransom is respect for the things I have said I will not accept. The ransom is presence, not distraction dressed as company. The ransom is choosing me clearly and repeatedly, not keeping me as a comfortable option. These are not impossible terms, they are not punishing terms. They are simply the terms of a woman who knows what she is worth, and what she is worth is considerable. And she has decided to start acting like it. The gates are not closed from fear, they are selective from wisdom. Not everyone deserves access to what I carry. This is a queen's ransom, and you will pay it or you will leave. This is a queen's ransom. My time, my energy, my trust, my peace. This is a queen's ransom, not negotiable, not discounted. This is a queen's ransom, and I have finally learned to collect what I am owed. Queen's ransom. I want to address something directly. The woman who knows her worth is not difficult. She is not high maintenance. She is not asking for too much. She is simply no longer accepting too little. There is a profound difference between demanding the impossible and refusing the insufficient. She is not asking for perfection. She is asking for genuine, not grand gestures, but real, consistent, genuine. And if that feels like too much, that is important information about the fit, not about her requirements. A queen's ransom is not extravagant. It is simply what was always the appropriate price. This is a queen's ransom, and you will pay it or you will leave. This is a queen's ransom. My time, peace. This is a queen's ransom. Not negotiable, not discounted. This is a queen's ransom. And I have finally learned to collect what I am owed. Every single piece of what I am owed. Queen's ransom. Non-negotiable. Queen's ransom. Non-negotiable. Queen's ransom. What I am owed. Always what I am owed. Something shifted recently, and I want to tell you about it, because it changed everything, and I think you need to hear it. I stopped being available to everything and everyone, and started being present to what actually matters. And it felt like taking the deepest breath of my entire life. I became selective with my mornings, protecting the first hours before the world has any claim, before the noise begins. I became selective with my energy, stopping the daily leak of pouring into things and people that give nothing back. I became selective with my attention, the most valuable currency I have. Stopping the automatic spending on anything that asked for it. I became selective with my yes, which made my yes mean something, which made people feel the difference of being genuinely chosen. Selectivity is not coldness, it is clarity. It is knowing what you have and deciding where it goes. I'm becoming selective, and it is the most freeing thing. I'm becoming selective about everything that gets access to me. I'm becoming selective, not from fear, but from self-knowledge. I'm becoming selective, and my life is filling up with things that actually fit, finally fit. Becoming selective. I became selective with relationships, and the ones that remained are the ones that make me more myself, not less. I became selective with opportunities, and the ones I said yes to align with who I actually am, not who I thought I should be. I became selective with my thoughts about myself and what I deserve, and slowly the baseline shifted to something I actually believe. I became selective about environments, about what I read and watched and absorb, about what voices I let have access to my inner world. And in all this selectivity, something unexpected happened. There is more of me available for the things that actually matter. Selectivity is not coldness, it is clarity. It is knowing what you have and deciding where it goes. I'm becoming selective, and it is the most freeing thing. I'm becoming selective about everything that gets access to me. I'm becoming selective, not from fear, but from self-knowledge. I'm becoming selective. My life is filling up with things that actually fit, finally fit. Becoming selective. I want to reframe something. Selectivity has been sold to us as something negative, picky, difficult, closed off, hard to please. But what if selectivity is actually the highest form of self-respect? What if knowing what you need and declining what you don't is not a character flaw, but a sign of genuine self-knowledge? What if the woman who is selective about who she spends time with, what she gives energy to, What she allows in her space is not difficult, but discerning. And discernment in a world that profits from your indiscriminate consumption of everything offered to you is radical and necessary, and one of the kindest things you can do for yourself. Become selective. It is not too much. It is exactly enough. It is finally enough. I'm becoming selective, and it is the most freeing thing. I'm becoming selective about everything that gets access to me. Not from fear, but from self-knowledge. I'm becoming selective. My life is filling up with things that actually fit, finally fit. Becoming selective, joyfully selective, unapologetically selective, finally selective, selective, finally selective. And it feels like freedom. Becoming selective. This is freedom.